What makes me so confident in saying the market is about to explode when seemingly things are looking quite doom and gloom right now? Well, of course, the reason why it's looking so doom and gloom is the fact that Mt. Gox is distributing some of their Bitcoin tokens, quite a lot of their tokens actually, and the German government have decided to begin selling off some of their Bitcoin holdings. At least that's what we all kind of thought. Now, we had Justin Sun actually come in here at one point and actually say, hey, German government, please stop ruining the market for me and everyone. I want to make money this cycle. I'll buy your Bitcoin off you over the counter so it doesn't impact the market. Good guy, Justin, right? But actually, what we found out only today is that Germany did sell some tokens, but then they've purchased some back OTC over the counter. So matter of fact, I believe that they've bought back all of and maybe then some of their Bitcoin. So this whole time we've been panicking, the market has fallen and capitulated. As a matter of fact, there really isn't too much to be all that panicked about, at least personally speaking. Also considering the fact that in the last quarter of every single year on average, we normally move up quite a lot in terms of the overall market growth. October and November particularly are very good months, at least for the price of Bitcoin. And that, of course, is still to come this time around. So if you find yourself enjoying today's video and you want to support all I do around here, don't forget, hit a like on the video right now, and hell, maybe even subscribe, because that will allow you to achieve all your crypto gains this bull run. And this video was actually sponsored by BlockDAG, so I really appreciate those guys allowing me to bring you all the daily crypto content. So if you want to go and have a look at who they are and what they do, use the link down there. So what I'm trying to make here, and the point is, as you'll see in a second, is that a lot of the time the news is kind of perpetuated. The news is kind of made more severe, good or bad, in crypto, depending on what narrative needs to be made for the benefit of the whales. I will show you in a second here. I'd really recommend you stay right through to the very end of the video, because I want to introduce you to the exact scheme, the little plan that these whales try to do to trick you into selling your positions. Now, if you have, please watch the very end. I want to introduce you to this so that you don't get wrecked. But their plan is to make you feel like you have to sell, and when you sell, you buy back in higher, and the impact this has on your success is absolutely shocking. I mean, this is why 98, 99% of people in crypto make no more than £500 out of the whole market. Most people lose money, okay? So only a select few, probably not even 1% of the market makes anything even remotely close to any gains, let alone life-changing gains that we all want. Here's how it works. I want to tell you, okay? What you have to understand is this market is a propaganda machine. Back in 2021, at the height of the bull run, what happened? There was articles out here saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to $100,000. Now, I can bet my bottom dollar right now that a lot of this was influenced by whales, by people who have a vested interest in telling you the market had more to go. Of course, right now, it's the opposite. Right now, it's this Mt. Gox and Germany thing. Maybe there's a few other things involved in it as well. And of course, they're pushing articles out there. They're selling maybe some of their positions to tank the price, causing you to panic and you to actually sell. And I know, because a lot of you have messaged me saying, should I sell? Should I get out? Is this it? I don't think it is. Now is a fantastic time, in my opinion, to begin buying BTC and alts for that matter. Alts particularly, because this is what the whales are buying. The whales, particularly the VCs, are buying altcoins that they have already vested in. The ones that they've invested since like the last 2-3 years, okay? The ones that will begin getting their tokens over the next few months. And this is their plan. Their plan is to incite absolute fear into the market. As we saw in the last cycle, we were pretty confident around, again, the peak after the initial run-up back in, early 2021. Fear and Greed Index score was 91. That's very, very high, very good. We fell about 30% in a matter of only 12 days, and the new score was about 40. So that's a 51-point shakeout, which pretty much says most people at that point in time, over 12 days, absolutely had the fear of God instilled in them, and they decided to sell. I can tell you right now, that's what happened. And actually, if you look at the current times, the current market, all right, what happened? Well, about a month ago, it was a score of about 78. So still quite positive. Definitely in the greed, okay? Well, then over about 3 weeks, we fell to about 50, but this wasn't strong enough. So as a matter of a couple of days ago, as we all know, we absolutely tanked the bed, fell to a score of 29. I think we're pretty much at 29 still right now. And this was enough for them to, I believe, consider it a solid shakeout. We actually fell 49 points. Again, this is only a couple points difference from back at the same time in the last cycle. This massive move down, this massive, oh my God, are we actually in a bear market, is enough. They couldn't do it before when we were over here. They could not do it over here because we just didn't fall enough. People actually still thought to themselves, whale games, we've got the bull run to still come, it's all okay, let's wait it out. They really need to convince you it's time to sell, and that's why it's important you look at things like the Fear and Greed Index score, and you talk to people about this, because people can't really control their emotions very well, and they will tell you time and time again about how they're scared and how they might be looking to get out of the market. I know, I see it everywhere. Everywhere I've been messaged about this. So here's how this actually impacts you. Here's why you need to know this. This is a part of their game, because you might just be thinking to yourself, hey, they're just tanking the price. They want to get in lower. Again, maybe there's some legit news, Mt. Gox, Germany. But again, they push it. They want to bring the prices down. But why? Well, obviously they want to accumulate more of their tokens, but there's actually a much more sinister reason for this. And this is how they actually use you as their exit liquidity, and how you must be prepared, especially if you're someone who has sold some of your tokens during this time period, okay? Please listen up. So here's how it works. Over the last, well, let's just say 8 months, since about October, most of the market, most of the world was woken up to crypto. Now, most people weren't buying over here. Most people kind of were like, okay, now's the time to buy and get into it. Pretty much the first sign of a little bit of a correction, a little bit of a sell-off, right? We were having a bit of a breather. Now, they were getting into it at this point in time. They had friends, family tell them about it. And I think over the course of the last 4.5 months, this sort of period here, you could assume most people were still expecting a bull run to occur. Most people were like, hey, hang on, this is normal, this is okay, let me just begin buying and buying and buying, and so they did, okay? Now, I would consider this somewhat FOMO buying. A lot of the times people were buying, even myself to some degree, dollar cost averaging when we could have been a bit more patient. But again, it was all in anticipation of a massive move at any moment. Now, here's the problem, okay? This is an issue for whales. Why? Because a lot of whales were buying here as well. A lot of the big VCs were continuing to adding to their positions. And the issue with that is everyone then decides to sell at a similar level, right? Most people with half a brain are looking to obviously sell and not get greedy, all right? We're not looking for the 100x multiplier. Some guys looking for a 5, 10, 15x on some of these larger cap altcoins that are much safer. But that's not good for whales, because then everyone's fighting to sell at roughly the same time. And again, that's not good enough for these guys. So what they do is pretty smart, if I do say so myself. One, they force the market down, okay? They encourage retail to sell, and sometimes even sell at a detriment of 30 or more percent. Like if you've sold some of your crypto recently, you're probably going to be selling it like, again, 20, 30, 40% down, because you're absolutely fearful that you might lose the rest of it, okay? So you sell at a large loss. They then allow themselves to fill more of their bags, allowing them to exit at simply cheaper prices, okay? So again, if they buy down here by design, they're going to be able to sell at much cheaper prices than what you might over here, but it gets worse. That's obvious, okay? Retail doesn't buy back in usually until the narrative is, again, completely bullish, or bullish enough to where they're like, okay, the bull run's back on, the fear is out the window. So that sometimes means buying back up over at these levels, okay? So much higher than we are right now until it's absolutely confirmed and all their favorite influencers have told them it's back on, all right? Now, in this case, usually they're requiring anywhere from 50 to 2, maybe even 3 times the amount of gains they were looking for before, because they've sold at a loss, because they were down here frightened and sold some of their positions. Well, buying back in here, even if buying back at the same level they were averaged in at before is completed and done, again, they've lost money by selling at a loss. So again, they in their mind think to themselves, well, I have to make more money back now. I have to make the same money I had before, but that of course means you have to make more back, okay? You have to get more multiples. So the VCs are over here with a lower average buying price way down at the very, very bottom over here, and you might be averaging even at the same price, but again, you might have to look for a 20x now, not like before at a 10x, simply because, again, you lost some of your money in that transaction, in this sort of depreciation down here, okay? So even if that means retail buys back in at the same prices, VCs now have a lower average buy-in and have more tokens. This allows them to sell much sooner, so they've added more to their positions at a lower level, which is, of course, meaning that they can just really tank down the price. So this is where you can get screwed, because now you're looking for more and they are actually looking for less. So they screw the markets up. They exit well in the green zone that I always talk about, and you're trying to sell in what you still think is the green zone, but now you've had to push yourself much higher. This is kind of simple, but again, it works, and it has worked every single time in the past. So when you see me talk about, having clear sell exit levels, and again, this is part of my, bull run cheat sheet and also my exit portfolio plan that I made for you guys. This is why I'm always dollar cost averaging. And when I do, I always try to reduce my average sell price on my altcoins to ensure I'm getting out at realistic levels, just like VCs do in that process I showed you. If you don't do this, again, you will become exit liquidity for these VCs. It's so simple, okay? So make sure, again, first link in the description, you come in here and have a look, and make sure you plug in all your information into the exit plan portfolio sheet. And please just make sure if you dollar cost average, reduce these. Now, if you are someone who decided to sell and you panic sold and you're like, oh my God, is the bull run back on? I've got to buy back in again. Well, again, you can do that, but now you've lost some of your money, okay? So on the top side, if you're looking for $1 million at a 10x, you put in 100 grand. If you sold at 30% loss, you've now got to maybe 25 or 30x to get to the same result, because now you have less money you're investing back in the market. Okay, so just make sure you now scrap out that top side goal of $1 million or whatever it is, and just get less. You made a mistake, own up to it. It's better you make money in the bull run than make none at all. Now, something else I wanted to point out here as well is that these whales, notably, actually have a vested interest, quite literally, pun intended, in terms of having the bull run expand over a long period of time. Now, there's a few theories out there. I've brought up one called the lengthening cycle theory, where we could actually end up having an all-time high happen and the blow-off top sometime in Q3, Q4 of this year. It's possible, but again, just remember, VCs have a vested interest in the long-term growth of the bull run, right? They'd rather it lengthen, which actually is a good thing for us, because the longer the cycle goes, the more we can dollar cost average. And the reason I say all this is because if you come and have a look at things like the VC printer on June, or just go to any vesting schedule, Wormhole's a prime example of this, and have a look at the unlocks for these VCs. Again, this is where they make the real big money, because they got into these projects at dirt cheap prices, like Celestia at $1 at literally 1 cent. Hundreds of thousands of percent gains. Well, they're not getting their tokens usually on average until 1 year. They have a whole 1 year of no tokens. And then after the 1 year, okay, then they begin to have very slow unlocks month on month, like this one over here for ATH or Ether, right? 4% monthly for 24 months after a 1 year cliff. So for these guys, they want the bull run to continue. And to do that, you kind of have to sometimes work a little bit slower. You don't want to have all the money rushing. You don't want to have or incite the mass amount of greed too early, because you're screwing yourself over, okay? These guys are in it to make the money themselves. Why it's very important to understand this, and why I think it's actually a good thing to assume the market might actually last 12 more months from here. Again, that's not financial advice. That's an assumption. Always be prepared for the worst. Always have an initial investment sell levels set. So at worst case, you take back all the money you've put in. Now, projects like ICP, Render, Hedera HBAR, and Pith over here, you can see I'm using the free version of TradingView, because dollar cost average, guys, more money in the market, the better, right? They're all at levels of support versus BTC, okay, which is a very good sign to see, because usually it's only going to be up from here. I believe an alt season is due. I believe this might actually be a solid reason for an alt season to occur. Again, I can pull up this chart all day, every day. We're not going to be beneath this green line for long. The green line, the buy for altcoin line, I don't think it's going to be here much longer. And when it does, we're going to completely flip. And those of us who have been patient, for those of us who understand what I've explained to you in this video and haven't been, fear-mongered, haven't been kind of given into this emotion that these VCs want us to ultimately do to benefit themselves. And I think we'll get, some good results. Now, again, if you are someone who has sold, that's okay. Don't knock yourself down. Don't panic. Just make sure you're not looking for the high multiples you once were. Be realistic. Sell at a realistic level. I think a lot of these altcoins should do a 10x from these prices today. But again, don't use that as financial advice. Do some more research. Join the private community down below. We're here to help. That's it. We're here to help. I look forward to seeing you all in there. And take good care. All the best for 2025. Bye-bye.